All right, guys, great morning. As promised, here is a little breakdown of some of the fasting questions, fasting things that people have been asking me, so on and so forth. And by all means, I am no expert on fasting. I would recommend you to go to pastors like Bob Rogers, Ted Shuttlesworth, Jonathan Shuttlesworth, Bishop David, I believe it's David Odeboye in Nigeria. Look at I believe Bishop Youngie Cho's information on fasting, some of maybe his old sermons, if it's possible to get a hold of those. These are real men of God that have actually used fasting in their life consistently and seen tremendous results in terms of spiritual growth in their ministries, growth in their churches, and so on and so forth. So I'm no expert in it. I just can share a few thoughts with you on some of the questions that need to be answered, and I would be happy to do so. All right, guys. So one of the questions that people ask is, do I have to fast? Should I fast? Do I need to fast? And the answer is yes, you need to fast. Here's why. Some people say, well, isn't fasting for that denomination, or isn't fasting for this person, or isn't fasting for that religion? Well, here's what Jesus said, and here's what the Bible teaches about it, right? There was once when Jesus was approached by the scribes and the Pharisees, and they asked him, why don't your disciples fast? And he said, how can they fast when the bridegroom is still with them? They don't need to fast if I'm still here. But when I leave, they will fast. There will come a time when I'm not with them and they will fast. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he was saying. There will come a time when they will fast. So that in itself is a statement saying, my disciples will fast. If you're a Christian, if you're a disciple of Jesus Christ, you must fast. Here's another example. In Matthew, it talks about 3 whens. And I can get the exact verse for you afterwards if you seek that. It says, when you give, when you pray, and when you fast, and it tells you how to do that. When is not something that's an if. When is a must. When says, when you pray, I expect you to pray. When you give, I expect you to give. When you fast, I expect you to fast. I expect you to fast. So when is a term that speaks of an expectation coming after it. It's something that you should do. It's something that is a must from you. It's required of you. It's almost it kind of explains something that's a command. When you do this, when you get to that task, not if you want to do it, when. It's a command. Fasting is a command, and we should fast. Fasting is a command, and we should fast, right? So fasting is a must. If fasting is a must, right, how do I fast? What do I drink or take in when I fast? What are different types of biblical fasts? That type of stuff. And what can I expect from fasting? Well, here's what you can do. If you're fasting for the first time, and you want to do at least 7, 14, 21 days, so on and so forth, more than a 3-day fast, I highly recommend, and listen, if you think you can do more, but if you happen to mess up, just jump back on, right? I highly recommend a 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. fast. A 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. fast. Now, you might be saying, a 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Why would you recommend that, Stefan? Is that a real fast? Well, I'll refer you to the book of Judges. When the armies went out to battle, twice they went out to battle and they lost. The third time, they fasted from morning till noon, let's say about 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., right? And then they won the battle. God honored their fast and they won the battle. So God gave them the victory because they fasted. And then they decided to take action, right? So it is a biblical fast, and I'll tell you this. If you think it's not a fast, try it. Do 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. For 21 days. Most likely you're probably not going to eat before 6 a.m. because that's very early, and if you do, you might have another problem, right? Unless you have to take medication or something, that's different. And after 6 p.m., wait until 6 p.m. and see how it feels. That's an intermittent fast, right? 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. is a biblical fast. So you can break it at 6 if you're new to it. I would recommend that if you really want to press in and you're not new to fasting and you have you fasted before, but this is your first extended fast that you want to do, and join us for 21 days of prayer and fasting, what you can do is don't break it and do all liquids. Do all liquids, right? This is a harder sacrifice. This will be a little bit harder to do all liquids. By liquids, I mean coffee, tea, low calorie coffee and tea. I'm not talking about a coffee that's about 300, 400, 500 calories. I mean, that's basically like having a meal replacement. You don't want to do that, right? You don't want to do that. That's not fasting. Or I mean, if you consider it a fast, fine. But in my opinion, is that really a sacrifice? You're satisfying the desires of your flesh. You're feeding the flesh man and not the spirit man. It's not that you're not feeding the spirit man, but you're giving yourself enough sustenance that it's not a sacrifice, right? So coffee, you can have some cream, you can have some, whatever you want to put in your coffee. Just be conscious of the calories that you're consuming. Tea, coffee, fruit juices are great. Naked juices are a great alternate. If you're not eating anything and you have 1 or 2 naked juices, that's not the worst thing in the world. Even better than that, cold pressed juices. Last year when I did fasting, I got cold pressed juices from a local 7-Eleven. You might find a cheaper place, and they're very healthy, very low in calorie, and fasting approved. So juices, coffee, tea, a light broth. By a broth, I don't mean you put chicken and dumpling in your soup and you're eating a full meal, chicken, dumpling, vegetables, everything you can think of, right? No, a light broth, right? You can, if you don't know how to cook, get some bone broth. Get some bone broth, put it in a pot, cook it with some onions, some hot sauce, some things to add some flavor, and have that, right? That's not bad. If you make an actual soup, have some of the broth, but don't go consuming heavy things, because then it's really a diet more than anything else, unless you're doing 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Knock yourself out after 6 p.m., right? Knock yourself out after 6 p.m. So it depends on what you're doing. If you're doing 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., sacrifice that time unto God. However, if you're going to do 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., you're going to break it after 6 p.m., guys, don't have a bunch of coffee and juices during the day. I mean, if you want to, fine, but is that really a fast? You're just filling up yourself with other things, and then at 6 p.m. you're going to eat anyway, so it's not really a fast. Do a water fast, or a black coffee or plain tea fast, or 40 calories maximum in your coffee and tea. And if it's a juice, a very light juice, a seltzer water or something like that, Zevia's, sparkling ice drink, something that is not very high in calories that you can have, that makes it an actual sacrifice. So if you're going to break it at 6 p.m., do that, but spend some time with God from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. when you're in a fasted state. Read your Bible, and spend some time in His Word and in prayer. If you're not going to break it after 6 p.m., right, do the 21 days, do the 7 days, whatever you think you want to try this year. I would highly recommend 21 days, especially if you're going to do it up to 6 p.m. And go try the liquids. And if you really feel weak and sick one day and you're going to throw up, that type of stuff, that one day break it after 6 p.m. then hop back on the next day. Hop right back on the next day, right? Now, a lot of people might be asking, well, Stefan, what about a Daniel fast? What about a Daniel fast? Well, here's the thing. Number one, the Daniel fast is not an actual biblical fast. Daniel did not expect to fast for 21 days. You see, he expected to get change over a nation. What he did for that 21 days was able to break through the prince of the spirit prince of Persia, a demonic force over a nation, right? So he didn't expect the breakthrough to come after 21 days. He was prepared to go much longer. He could have been fasting for a whole year at that rate, because it was just a sacrifice unto God. That's number one. Number two, he was about 90 years old when he did that fast. So if you're over the age of 70 and you want to do a Daniel fast, go ahead. If you have health complications, and you want to do a Daniel fast because you have to take medications at a certain time, that type of stuff, I believe God will honor that sacrifice. Go right ahead and do it. Do the Daniel fast, right? If you want your children to fast, but you want to be cautious and make sure they get enough nutrients, the Daniel fast has more than enough nutrition. The Daniel fast has more than enough nutrition and other protein sources that you can have, that your children can do that, right? It has more than enough for your children to do that. So that's, you can do the Daniel fast if that's what you desire. Guys, I just want to encourage you, do the fast. When you do the fast, spend time in the Word. I would actually encourage you, if you're going to do this fast, we spend time watching movies, watching series, working our jobs, in the gym, playing video, whatever you do, you spend time doing it, right, throughout your day. You have so many hours in a day, 24 hours in a day. Can you take an hour out of your day and read 12 chapters of the Bible? If you read 12 chapters every day of this fast, I believe for the 21 days you would finish reading the New Testament during the fast. Some people have actually set out to do a 40-day fast and read the entire Bible in 40 days. So what you're doing is not hard. It's not hard. It's a sacrifice. You will feel it, right? Because obviously you're crucifying your flesh. But it's not that it's not hard. It's not impossible. It's very possible. We have tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands, who knows, maybe even millions worldwide that will be doing this to start off the year. Christians who actually honor God in the first part of their year by fasting. Right, guys? So I want to encourage you guys, do the fast, do it. What can I expect from the fast? What are the benefits of a fast? Well, guys, there's a heavier spiritual weight that God will place on your life when you fast. Well, is that in the Bible, Stefan? Absolutely, right? When the disciples tried to cast out that demon spirit and they couldn't do it, and then Jesus came and he was able to cast it out, because obviously he is the Son of God, he's God himself, so he can do it. Then the disciples asked him, how come we weren't able to? He says, this kind cometh not out but by prayer and fasting, right? You must pray and fast to do certain things in the spiritual realm. So it gets you into a closer walk with God. Your relationship with God will be better. Your spirit man will be built up. So things like demonic forces, things like certain sicknesses, certain illnesses, certain things that the enemies try to place over your life, those things will be broken during your 21-day fast. Right? Also, you will get benefits in your life, because when you fast, you're seeking God, right? He's a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. You can't seek God any more diligently than in prayer and fasting and crucifying your flesh and spending time with him each and every day, right? You can't do it any better than that. So guys, in this time, expect miracles in your life. Expect breakthrough. Expect to be blessed in your body, in your physical body, in your finances. Expect to be blessed in your finances. Pastor Bob Rogers said that when he looks out at the people who have done 21-day fasts, generally after a 21-day fast, they always see some type of financial breakthrough. I have also seen in my life that when I fasted for 21 days, I've seen financial breakthrough. To be honest with you, I've seen it after 3 days and sometimes after 1 day. But you should see some type of financial breakthrough, some type of spiritual breakthrough, some type of physical breakthrough, certain things that you're praying for, maybe family members, maybe other things that you need, something with a car, a house, a situation, a legal situation, whatever it is. Pray about it. Promotion at your job, right? So you want to start a new business, you're dedicating your life unto the Lord again, whatever you wanted to pray and fast for, understand that anything you pray for during this time, it's not that God wasn't paying attention before, but he's more inclined to work on your behalf, because fasting doesn't generally change God, but fasting changes you. Fasting may impact God's mind about you and say, He's ready now to receive this blessing. But fasting doesn't change God, it changes you. So should you fast? Yes. What should you consume when you fast? We went through that. If you have any questions, reach out to me. And what can you expect when you fast? Well, you can expect many blessings, physical, spiritual, and financial, right? God is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. He shall supply all of your needs according to your riches and glory. And needs do include wants, because he gives us the desires of our hearts as well. So he does all these things, and he's a miracle working God. So guys, expect a breakthrough in this fast. I pray that God blesses you, that he keeps you, that you're encouraged to fast, to join us on our fast for 21 days of prayer and fasting in January. So guys, have a blessed day. Take care. God bless you. Hopefully we see you on our devotions for our fast.